Hi everybody, welcome to Live Large Universe. So this is John Ferry and I am back with you guys all the way since April. So way back in April was the last episode I did as we actually gave away the Avalanche Alliance sweepstakes. We gave away that big truck, that F-350. That was, believe it or not, that was the last episode that we did of Live Large Universe. And here we are now in September of 2023 and we're ready to kick this back on again. So as you guys come on, I see people in the the chat here. Go ahead and let us know in the comments. That's going to help me out too to make sure everything's working right. So go in the comments. Make sure you let me know if everything is coming through okay. Can you hear me okay? Can you see me okay? Let me know where you're watching from in the comments here. So we're going to get this kicked off. But there's a few things I want to talk to you guys about. So we are here again at September 2023. We're getting ready to go into the 2023-2024 snowmobile season, and there's so much going on, as you can imagine, per usual. We're going to get into some of that with our show tonight with Rory. So Rory Kaddatz is going to be on with us here shortly. He's in the green room here, just waiting to come on. But as you guys have it, go into the comments section or into the comments here. Let us know what's there. I'm going to double check, make sure I have this set for public in a second because it's been a few months since I've done this. I want to make sure I got the settings right. But let us know in the comments where you're watching from. But some things that are going on. So up here in the Pacific Northwest, if anybody is watching up here in Washington, just know that on September 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, but specifically Saturday, September 23rd, we have the Sled Bash event that's happening here this year up at Eagle Haven Winery. So big event up here. We're going to have freestyle motocross. We're going to have a swap meet. We're going to have a big raffle. It's all in a big fundraiser for the Northwest Avalanche Center. So that's coming up very shortly, coming up soon. But even before that, we have Heydays. And Heydays is coming up here starting next weekend, September 8th. I'm flying out. 9th and 10th, I'll be on site at Heydays. So if you're there, make sure you guys look me up and we'll go from there. The other thing I want to let you know is that as of, was it yesterday, the day before, September 1st here, we've launched the Avalanche Alliance sweepstakes. And so the Avalanche Alliance sweepstakes here, I've got some pictures I want to bring up and show you guys quick as we're waiting. Rory will be with you in just a second, so you can hang tight for another minute. But we have the Avalanche Alliance sweepstakes. And so this year, we're giving away a brand new Polaris Boost 850. It's going to be all decked out with goodies from Ice Age, SLP. There's all kinds of different partners and businesses on here that are going to be helping us out. Seat Concepts, the list goes on and on. So the link that I have in the show notes here, you can check that out and make sure you click on that. And so that's the grand prize this year is this brand new Polaris snowmobile backed by popular demand. And the next thing we have is our Marlon sled deck. So we have a brand new 2024 Marlon sled deck, Explorer 8-foot bed or 8-foot deck that'll work with a 6.5-foot bed or an 8-foot bed. You can win that. The other item we're giving away this year, this is super exciting, is we have a ZR200, so a youth snowmobile for the first time ever in Avalanche Alliance sweepstakes history. We have that going on, so make sure you check that out. And what else do we have in the prizes? So Climb has come to the table again with a big pack. We got an Avalanche pack, full gear, onesie, helmet, goggles, boots, you name it. It's in that pack, a big package there as well. And this year we have a new partner, Ortavox, who's in on the sweepstakes. They're going to be giving us a full Avalanche pack, right? So beacon, shovel, probe, along with an Avalanche pack, could all be yours. And so, Rory, with that, we're going to jump in the show here. If you want to come off mute, and I'll bring you on here in 3, 2, and 1. All right, let's bring Rory up here. Give me 1 second. There he is. How's it going, Rory?
Hey, John. Doing pretty good.
Good. So just so you know, I'm concerned that the settings on my Facebook post right now may be possibly set to, nope, it's set to public. So not sure why we wouldn't be seeing comments here, but if everybody can go into the comments right now, let's make sure this is working. Go in the comments and drop anything in there. I'd love to hear where you're watching from or what's going on. I'm seeing it on my Facebook page. It's showing it's a public video, and so we should have all the comments turned on and access to seeing that. So if not, we'll figure that out in a little bit later, but we'll keep going. So Rory, how have you been, my friend? It's been a long
I've been
time.
awesome. You know what? Snowmobiling is year-round. First of all, I got to stop and say thank you. Welcome back to Live Large. It's been an honor that you invited me to be a part of your program. And yeah, let's get into snowmobiling.
Yeah.
Year-round.
Yeah,
It's a
but
part of our life. I don't care if it's grass drags, asphalt, whatever. It's always on our mind. And now Heydays is right around the corner, and we're all getting excited now.
Yeah, we've got a lot to talk about tonight, including those things that you just chatted about too. But Rory, I think mutual friends of ours through Facebook and through the show, the Live Large Universe, and what was John Ferry and Live podcast. You've been somebody who's been watching it for many years, and you and I. How many years has it been since we met in person? Was it 3-4 years ago at Heydays, maybe the first time, give or take, in that ballpark?
I'm going to say 4, maybe even more than that.
Wow.
I don't like to keep counting, but in the same token, it's been great to have a friendship like yours.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's cool. So, I mean, to be able to meet you in person at Heydays a few years back, and then to continue to just follow you on Facebook. I know you interact a lot with a lot of the posts that I put out there too in the snowmobile world, and you're a very big supporter of all the things we do. And I also have been involved in watching a lot of the things you get involved in. We're going to go into some of that tonight too. And when I took kind of the summer off, it's been kind of a hectic year professionally speaking for me, and I finally got my game back in place here where I'm able to jump in and start doing some podcasts. And with that, I just want to do a quick request and shout out to anybody out there who's watching. If you see this now or if you watch the recording later, let me know if you have any interest in coming on the show. I'm actually, for this season, going to be booking new guests for this coming season. Generally speaking, what we like to focus on is things like snowmobile safety, avalanche safety, just positive growth of the sport, things like snowmobile clubs, land access issues. I mean, you kind of name it, it's all doable and possible, but we're really here trying to educate the public on some different things that are going on. And, I know you're involved in a lot of great things like a youth program that we're going to touch on tonight a little bit. You've been involved in snowmobile clubs for a long time. And then the big thing we want to dive into tonight is the big kickoff to the snowmobile season, which is Heydays, right, for this coming year.
Yep.
Awesome. So, Rory, go ahead and give us a little bit of background on who is Rory Kaddatz. Give us a little background on yourself. I know you shared with me, and I've gotten to know you a little bit too, and I follow your posts. It's obvious you're a military veteran. You're a Navy veteran, and you're going to go through a little bit about that as well as your snowmobile history. So let's get to know you, Rory, a little bit.
Well, John, first of all, I was born and raised in Fox Valley, just south of Green Bay in Wisconsin. After high school, I got a technical degree at a tech school in printing and publishing, but I just wanted something more. I wanted to serve my country. So I joined the Navy, and I thought, well, I'm only going to do a short tour. First ship was a battleship Missouri. Couldn't get no better. That was a pretty historic ship. And from there, I said, you know what? I'm enjoying this too much. My dad wanted me to come back and take over the construction company he had, and there was too much of the world to see. So I took orders from there. I went over to Europe and was on a submarine tender. So I did 2 battleships, Battleship Missouri, the Battleship New Jersey for training. Went over to Europe. I was on a submarine tender, the Simon Lake, and then came back stateside, basically what the Navy considers a coast-to-coast transfer. And I did 2 carriers, but I also have been attached to NATO. I was overseas deployed, former Yugoslavia, and that's where I got into a few other things. Sailors are basically supposed to be at sea on board a ship. Well, little did I know, I became a foot soldier. I was part of NATO forces.
Wow.
And it was a very rewarding trip. And I did 2 more tours over there in the former Yugoslavia in the Balkan area. And that's where I got PTSD.
Okay.
I've got a control on it on my own, but I sympathize and my brothers and sisters in the military. Service dogs are so important in different organizations. I'm going to give a shout out right now before I get too far into this to Aaron McCarthy.
Yeah, amazing.
All American Heroes Foundation. If you don't know who they are, take a look them up. And it's not just the military, it's first responders and EMTs, police force, what have you. And they're there. It's a community. And I huge shout out and thank you to them for what they do. Um, Basically, what they do is they take a group, whether it be on side by sides in the summertime, snowmobiles. They uh, have an education program. Um, Last year they had Paul Thacker with the group, um, who is huge in the snowmobile community. So, yeah, huge shout out to them. And from there, I'd like to say my coping mechanism um, is my dog and this sport.
Yeah.
Because this sport, yeah, my dog, when I was looking for a handout, I got a paw. And so I get that piece. And then snowmobiling. I don't care whether it's with the youth groups I'm with or helping out or just our little group ourselves. It's that community. It's a family connection, and that really has pulled me through a few hard times. But that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll jump in there
so
if you don't mind for just a minute. I'll
yes,
just add to it is, yeah, All American Heroes Foundation, the entire board on there. Obviously, Aaron McCarthy was the first recipient of sled giveaway of heroes. What is it? Honor Your Heroes sled giveaway. I think that was Dan Adams out of Next Level Riding Clinics was the one who kicked
yes,
that off 5 years ago or something like that, or 4 years ago. I don't remember exactly how long. But Aaron was the first beneficiary, and then from that, he took and grabbed the baton and was honored that way. But then, like many military veterans want to do, is they want to pay it forward, right? And they want to make sure that the benefits they've received and the love they've received and the support they've received, they want to make sure that that is continued to be spread through other veterans. And so All American Heroes Foundation was born. And anybody who's followed the show for quite a while knows that we've had Aaron on multiple times. I've had chats in there. I've been a big supporter personally of All American Heroes Foundation, and they continue to do amazing work. And they
yes.
into this season again. So yep, absolutely. And then the snowmobiling, right? I know that was part of Aaron's story too, and I keep hearing that over and over again. And why All American Heroes Foundation loves to bring people out, whether it be snowmobiling, side by siding, or something. It's this idea of like this bond that we have is backcountry riders. Whether it be, I mean, you could be anywhere riding, right? But it's like this group of people that are going out into the backcountry, whether it be the Michigan backcountry, the Colorado backcountry, or anywhere here in Washington. But just getting that team of people together to go do something that is kind of risky, a little bit dangerous, where you kind of have to be looking out for your buddies and building that teamwork, if you will, but
Yep.
also an amazing experience of just getting out into wilderness, right, and seeing the best that God has made for us, right? It's that idea of getting up into the top of a mountain and looking straight into heaven, if you will.
That's my connection right there. And through my hard times, have come smiles and what have you. So yeah, 100%.
Yep, that's awesome. But your family history has quite a bit involved in snowmobiling a long time ago, right? So go way back to when you were a child or a kid, if you will, and talk about your father and your family history in the snowmobile world. It started at a pretty young age for you, right?
Yes, it did. Let me touch on that. My dad had a distributorship, and
Yeah.
very fortunate. He sold Skirul, Polaris, and Evinrude,
Okay.
and that was where my first trail ride was. My dad was a founding member of our local snowmobile club, the Greenville Green Knights, and my dad raced ice oval. The whole racing environment in the state of Wisconsin has changed throughout from the 70s till where we're at right now. But you'd get a race that was kind of sanctioned, and they'd just go clear out a track on a lake,
Yeah.
and that was the race.
Yep.
But I raced a few years with my dad under his support, and that's how I got into the sport.
Okay.
Um, and then it was just a family adventure all the time, whether we were going to the track or we were going for a ride. But back then, it wasn't really a groomed trail. You were making your own trail.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, there's so many fond memories. My dad has since passed away, but I'm trying to carry that tradition of what he instilled in me. I mean, oh, I got to stop a minute here. I am now a newly
Oh
grandfather,
yes.
so I would like to carry that on to my granddaughter. So that's another item. Once we get to heydays, I have to be looking for. But yeah, it's a family tradition that, I mean, we got to work with our youth of our sport, and there's so many different things that we'll
Yeah.
get into that I work with, and
Yeah.
it's just amazing that is out there that some people don't even really know about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, it's been a family affair. I joined, then I joined the service, and then it was just like stepping back into an old pair of shoes because it was so familiar and such good ground.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so, by the way, congratulations on your new granddaughter because most people, I mean, you're mentioning it, but what people don't realize is this story of a new granddaughter is literally, what, 24 hours old or maybe 48 hours old now? Or like, how old is this granddaughter
It's
now?
just a few days. She arrived here not that long ago,
Yep.
and she's just we never expected it. So she's a very precious addition to the family.
That's awesome. That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, and trust me, Grandma and Grandpa will be instilling
Yeah.
the sport of snowmobiling into that little girl.
Yeah. Well, and you know, it's goes without saying, but I'm going to call it out as like, you know, your desire to get youth into snowmobiling is not restricted to just personal immediate family, right? Like you've been involved in different things like one of our previous guests, Sunshine, right? So you've been a big supporter of
Yes,
Sunshine and giving her some love and support, as well as these youth clinics. Let's dive into a couple of those things real quick too, if you want to touch on both of
sure.
those, like what you've done with
Um,
Sunshine a little bit, and then the youth clinics, which she's part of as well. So
the very first time I met Sunshine was shortly after her milk money story.
yeah,
And that little girl, yes, her name is Sunshine, but she literally puts a smile on your face
yeah,
like the sunshine is beaming right at you.
yep,
Um, and her grandmother, Jackie, and I were talking about how she just latched onto the sport of snowmobiling
yeah.
at such a young age. And I said, well, our club would like to do something. So we all got together and um, we built her a snow gauge.
I remember
And it
this.
was
This was
kind of
awesome.
an event that we did at Heydays a few years back. And we kind of unveiled it. And that's something that it carries on through the community. It's just doing a small deed that you don't think nothing of, but it put a smile on that little
Yeah.
girl's face. And she carries that
Well,
over
her
to other
her
girls.
favorite animal was a flamingo, and I remember you guys built this like flamingo wood cutout, you know, snow depth gauge, and had the lines on it for all many feet of snow they were getting up in Michigan. And
Yep.
yeah, it's been. I was actually at that event when you guys gave it away. I think I was there to kind of watch you guys don't, you know, give it to her and donate to her, and it was out in the
Yes.
swap area if I remember right. Right? It wasn't
It
at.
was over at Kristen Mackey Zern's
Yep.
swap site.
Yep, exactly. Yep. So that was a fun opportunity to see, and I think that was probably about the time that I bumped into you. Maybe the first time, maybe it was the year before that. I don't remember, but that
That
was
was wrong. Yep.
yep, that was pretty close to
But
the same time.
it's just one of those things. And so ever since then, we have kind of a mutual bond. And it's amazing. So every time now she's into bicycle racing,
Yep.
BMX. So we're a huge supporter of her in that. And this goes with not just Sunshine, with any child that I know that has a passion for life, not just snowmobiling, but it kind
Exactly.
of centers around snowmobiling.
Yeah.
And I'll jump over into another event is Top of the Lake Snowmobile
Yeah.
Museum. Uh, Michelle, I always butcher her last name, Valier Labadie.
Yeah.
Um, her parents have a snowmobile museum, top of the lake up in, here I am again with another name, Nuguani, if I'm not mistaken. And in January, they do a youth family ride. And it's kind of, they split the ride up into two sections. So you have little kids that probably can't go no further than 2 parking lots for a ride, or a couple miles down, and then they kind of meet in the middle and they do like a little fire, and they can do some hot dogs or whatever. But it's just a good family event where the kids get together. And I met up with a few other individuals that we work with, and it's bringing people together with our sport. And the best part of that event is Michelle's dad always will bring out one of the old antique sleds and give the kids a ride once we get back to the museum.
Yeah.
So that's something I look forward to, because that, I mean, back in the day, there was 500 plus different brands and manufacturers, and it's amazing to see some of those old machines still running.
Yeah, no, I've
So,
seen pictures and posts from that event as well too, and we had Brian who kind of helps coordinate that event too on last year, and we talked all about that event too, and I believe you guys are all getting ready to do that event this coming season as well too.
yes, correct. Another event that Brian and a few others are working is a youth backcountry clinic, which we had mentioned and talked about. We did one last year with a Skidoo ambassador, Matt Downey, and
Hmm.
a Castle ambassador, um, Dan Nadeau. And that was on the western side. This one's going to be on the eastern side. And ironically, it was sold out, or filled. The list was filled up within a matter of 3 hours.
That's awesome.
How amazing is that,
Yeah.
when there's such a call for it? So we have 2 qualified instructors. We have the papers and everything all set up. And all we need is snow in the weather, and it's progressing our sport. And we have to work on building our youth. That's, to me, I don't care about racing or anything
Yeah.
else. That's what excites me, is to see
Yeah.
the up and coming youth get into the sport.
Nope. 100%. 100% align. And with that, you guys are also involved, or you're personally also involved in snowmobile clubs, and that's a big part of your life as well. I know the poster on the wall behind you is part of that legacy that you guys have going on too. So tell us a little bit about the poster behind you, the group, the Stump Punters, if I'm saying it right,
Yes.
and then
Okay.
just clubs in
Shout out to
general as well
everybody
too.
that
So
is in the group. Um, Stump Hunters basically started out as a great big group of friends.
yeah,
Uh, Went to school together or met one another along the way. I'm probably the oldest one in the group. Henceforth, my name, the Old Goat. There's a few other things behind that, but
hence
what we
the shirt,
do.
right? The old
Oh
goat.
yeah, actually, I got the shirt on. um, with Stump Hunters, basically, it's a group of guys that just love to ride together. It doesn't matter if it's trail riding here at home, if the trails are good, going up to the UP and riding the great snow that the UP gets, whether it be the eastern or western side. Our favorite is the western side, just outside of Houghton, South Range area, or making our annual trip out west. Um, some guys are able to make 2 trips, some only one. The group is so big, but we always like to try and do
Yeah.
something also to help the community. A couple years back, there was a flood in Houghton.
Okay.
It was just terrible. So, us as a group, we went around to different local uh, dealerships and businesses. We took up donations, everything from shovels to money or what have you. And then we took 3 4 days, and we went up as a group and helped shovel dirt, sand, help some of the local businesses. That was one of the events we've done. We did the snow gauge for Sunshine. It just, yeah, we're not an official club, but it's just a group of guys who love to ride, we love the sport,
Yeah.
and that's what it's about.
Well, it's just a sense
Um,
of community, sense of family, right? I mean, that's what all it ultimately is about, and I think what every club strives for. And so, whether it's a formal club or an informal club,
and
you got the same
that's
thing,
one
right?
reason
So,
we wanted to stay with this, exactly, because it's a sense of family.
yep.
So, and I'm also involved in 2 local clubs. the Greenville Green Knights, which I
Gotcha.
mentioned earlier.
Yep.
My dad was one of the founding
Very nice.
fathers of the club, trying to carry on his legacy. And then the Hortonville Polar Bears. And so we're kind of two clubs that are next to each other, so we have adjoining trails. Um, the way the snow has been the last few years in our area, it's not been the greatest. So we do trail marking,
Yeah.
brushing, and just sit and pray we get a couple days that we can open the trails and ride the local area. And I also support two clubs up in the UP, the Keweenaw Snowmobile Club
Okay.
and the Superior Snowmobile Club. Um, we as a group, the Stump Hunters, we usually try and go up and do one of the first trail cleanup days that they have, and whether it be the Keweenaw or the Superior time frame, there's so much that they need help with,
Yeah.
and that's the least we can do. If we ride the area, we might as well at least come up with, if we can, and help
Yep.
clear the trails.
Yeah. Well, and the clubs are so important too because they're kind of the bridge between the snowmobile riders in the community, right? So the actual snowmobile riders out there. I mean, it's one thing to just, pay your registration and go out and ride, but there's also a lot of back end legwork that happens around just maintaining, depending on the part of the country you're in, it varies across the country. I mean, a lot of the clubs are directly involved in trail cleanup, directly involved in trail grooming. A lot of the clubs out there around the country actually own the grooming equipment, and they have like then state funding that back pays them for how many miles they groom. There's other parts of it where the clubs are involved in then state associations, and those state associations in most cases are the ones advocating for keeping land access open, as well as national organizations like AXA. So it's kind of this whole process and chain event, but it's that the clubs are really that gap between the community itself and organized snowmobiling as a whole. And most people, if they're not involved in clubs, they have no concept of what it actually takes to keep the sport of snowmobiling alive. And is things like snow shows that happen in some states are a big part of it because of some of the state organizations that are involved in it, as well as all of these businesses that are part of it as well. But it's a very important aspect of the overall sport, and frankly, the entire sport of snowmobiling became a sport because of these clubs and people that organized way back in the 60s and the 70s that established trails and relationships with landowners and state associations and getting funding, working with legislators. All those things are a big part of what clubs do across the nation. So
One plug I'd like to add to what John
sure.
has just said is get involved, join a club.
Yeah.
That's what's keeping our sport alive is these local clubs. So please join a club.
Yeah, and I'll just say in the comments too here, if you guys are, if you are a member of a club, please drop the name of your snowmobile club in the chat. And if you have multiple snowmobile clubs, list all of them in there too. Like for me and Rory both, I think we both are members of multiple clubs, and I know a lot of people who are watching are also as well. So put that in the comments. Let us know. And if there's something we've missed that you think is an important aspect of what snowmobile clubs bring to the table, drop that in the comments as well, and we'll keep rolling with the video here. So Rory, I think the next thing we need to talk a little bit about is, just touch a little bit about the upcoming season. And there's, I'll maybe just for the sake of time, I'll just buzz through them. There's things we're all thinking about getting ready for the season, right? We're thinking about, what do I need for riding gear? What do I need to do for maintenance for my sled? And do I have a new sled on order? And is it coming in? And, there's all these things we're doing to get ready for the season. But I think you and I should jump right to the most important part, which is the official kickoff of snowmobile season. And what is that, Rory? What is the official kickoff? Haydays Grass Drags, located in North Branch, Minnesota, or just outside of North Branch, just to the east of there, right between the Wisconsin border and North Branch, Minnesota. And this event goes back years. I want to say I don't remember the exact number, but it's got to be pushing 50 years. Is it at 50 yet, or is it not quite there yet?
I think it's got to be really close.
Yeah.
I know since I was just a tadpole high.
Yeah.
I remember heydays being a part of our life.
Yeah, no, it's been there for, and it used to be way back in the day, like Lionel Lakes, Minnesota. I actually attended one or two of them back when it was still back in Lionel Lakes, Minnesota. And then the very first year they moved to their new location, I did go to that one as well. And I literally remember I lived in Minnesota at the time, and I remember the trip to get into Heydays. It literally took us like 2 to 3 hours to go that last 10 miles to get into the event because there was a massive rainstorm. Everything was new. You know, the people getting in and
Yep.
all the organization, getting people routed into the event was all new for everybody. So there was some logistical stuff that was there, but it also was just a big muddy mess because a big storm had come through that year as well. And people were getting stuck in the parking lots and all kinds of stuff. But, lots of crazy memories of Heydays. I grew up in Minnesota, and so it was something I tried to get to as often as I could. And then when I first moved to Washington in 2012 is when I moved here. I think I missed Heydays for the first 3, 4, maybe even 5 years. I kind of just quit going because heck, I'd moved out of state. I had a good excuse. I didn't need to go anymore. And then, like a good snowmobiler, I got sucked right back into it. And now I want to say it's probably been 4 or 5 years in a row again now that I've been going flying back every year and volunteering with the Snow Ghost Snowmobile Club, who does all the gate ticketing at the event.
Yes, I want to
And
jump in and say thank you
oh yeah,
because that's awesome that you come all the way from the West Coast and you volunteer your time with the Snow Barons also.
yeah. So the Snow Barons put on the overall event. The Snow Ghosts Club is the club that's contracted by the Snow Barons to do all the gate ticketing and stuff. And so when I
Okay.
when I lived in Zimmerman, Minnesota, just outside of there, I joined the Snow Ghost Snowmobile Club and was active with them for a couple of years while I lived there, and I got to know them. And that's where I first got involved, was back in probably 2010, 2011 seasons in that year. And when I started going back, I was like, man, this is awesome to go back and see all my old friends in the club. A lot of them are still the same people I was there from way back that many years ago. To be able to volunteer some time, and of course the convenience to be able to stay right there with them and camp with them, and they put on meals for all the volunteers and stuff too. And I actually end up bringing back a couple of people usually each season to come back and help as well too. So Eric Nelson is a gentleman who's, I think he's on here watching actually. He came with me last year, and he's coming back now a second year in a row to go back and volunteer with me and hang out with the Snow Ghost Club. So
That's awesome.
yep. So
So,
what do you do to go, like tell me about Heydays? Like, what does Heydays mean to you? Like, you've been going for many years. What's your favorite things to see at Heydays? Like, if somebody's never been to Heydays, let's just walk them through this experience because it is an experience that like no other. So let's go into it.
all right. First, I'm going to say Heydays is nothing but one big family reunion.
Yeah.
If you're in the sledding community, you have friends, fellow riders from Colorado, Washington State, Maine, Sweden, from other parts of the
Yeah. All over the
world
world
too.
they come. Yep, literally.
So I mean that is a huge aspect that you get to see people that you've only seen once or twice through the rest of the part of the year,
Yep.
and then it's seeing all the manufacturers, seeing what new greatest things are out, the OEMs and the aftermarket. Then it's the atmosphere. It's getting that stoke back going for the first snowfall, getting ready for the season, walking through the swap meet, seeing the racing, and each year the Snow Barons do an awesome job of mixing it up and adding new things. This year there's a new racing circuit that's going to be there. That's something I'm excited to see. It's meeting new people. That's where it is, and then climb um, the Avalanche Alliance. Uh, Obviously, they're promoting, but they do a few seminars, so
Oh yeah.
you can get a head start on that safety aspect. You can get a little. They do a couple training sessions, so it's just that little scratch of the surface, and then you got to sign up. You got to take a class.
Yeah.
So it's just an all around fun event. It gets you just all. I'm like a kid. Some people say I can't wait for Christmas. I'm waiting to walk down the stairs and see Santa Claus.
Yeah.
No, I'm waiting to see Heydays because that's where my excitement is. I'm just like that little kid.
Oh, I know, right?
So
I mean, it's literally like Disney World for snowmobilers. Like, I mean, if you think of like what the scale of Disney World is to kids in the world right now, like type of thing. If as a little kid, they're growing up, they all want to go to Disneyland or Disney World, right? Type of thing. And
I,
as a snowmobiler, like Heydays is our Disneyland, right? I mean, and there's things at Heydays that you can't even dream of. Like, there's crazy stuff that I mean, let's just break this down a little bit. Let's go into each individual chunk here. Let's start with the swap meet, right? Like, oh my gosh, like if you, I mean, do you know off the top of your head like how many acres Heydays is? I bet
not
it's
right off the top of my
somebody.
head,
Somebody
but
do a quick Google search and let us know in the comments how many acres Heydays is. It's got to be 50 acres, 20 acres, somewhere in there. I don't know. Maybe it's bigger even.
for some reason I thought it was 30 acres.
Okay,
That rings a bell, but I mean it's huge,
yeah.
and to walk the whole thing,
But two
it's
thirds of that entire event, like if you look at it from a satellite view or a drone view, and you look at what is Heydays, like 2/3 of the entire event is literally swap meet. And I don't know, it's hundreds and hundreds of swap meet people are there, and some people are actually there to sell stuff. Let's
yep.
be honest, right? Like they bring stuff to sell as a good swap meter should. But then there's some people who I think they bring something and set it on the table and they mark it like 4 times higher than it should be just so that they can get a swap meet spot so that they can camp at the event because the event's so epic. They just want to be on site at the event, and so they'll bring a snowmobile and like tell their wife or their significant other like hey, I'm gonna go sell my snowmobile at Heydays. It's a $5,000 snowmobile and they mark it for like $8,000 or $10,000, and they're like,
No
honey, I don't
intention
know,
of selling it.
I don't know what happened, honey. It just didn't sell this weekend. I don't understand what happened. Like I just don't get it. But people must not want my specific model of snowmobile. That must be what it is. It can't be that I just wanted a camping spot and wanted to just hang out with all my friends at Heydays all weekend, right?
It's the atmosphere.
what's
But
the
you'll never
crazy
know.
What's the craziest thing you've ever seen at the swap meet? Like that's what you were going to go to there too, right?
I
Like
was gonna go there.
you don't have to buy just snowmobile stuff there. You can buy
Nope.
anything at the swap meet. Like what's the coolest craziest thing you've ever
The
seen at the swap
coolest
meet?
thing, well, the wildest thing I seen was a pink lawnmower,
Ooh,
and
nice.
it worked. But you never know what you're gonna see. In fact, Krista Mackey Zern and Sean Zern, uh, they had that at their site after the fact. So there was some shenanigans going on too. But
Yep.
you just never know what you're going to see.
Yep.
Whether it be an RC car or an old washing tub,
Yep.
you'll see something.
All right. Well, then let's go into the people who are shopping the swap meets and some of the creative carrying devices that they have. I don't want to call them wagons because they're not just wagons. Like these devices that they use to carry their swap items that they've purchased. Let's talk a little bit about some of those things that you've seen. Tell us a little bit about some of the swap carrying devices, we'll call them.
Well, okay, maybe not a wagon, but it looks like a motorized hay wagon.
There you go.
I seen one that had 3 motors on it,
Wow.
and I think the guy actually had an RC remote to control the thing because he wasn't holding it, but that thing followed him wherever he went, weaving in and out of traffic, pedestrian traffic. It's just amazing the contraptions people come up with,
Yeah.
which I don't think I want to carry some of the heavy items out of the swamp. So
Yeah.
props to them.
No, some people carry around like two-wheel dollies, like little, hand trucks. They would have them, something like that. Some of them use regular wagons. Some of them use motorized or powered wagons. And I'm sure technology-wise, people are going to start coming out with electric powered, all these electric
Oh,
engines
I'm
that are
sure
on
of it.
scooters and stuff too. I'm sure that'll be there. And then, yeah, some of the camp, like the swap meet vehicles that are there, like they get kind of creative, like maybe double decker something or another. Like who knows? Like it's just it's quite the spectacle to go see just to go walk the swap area.
Stump Hunter's not this year because we didn't get a swap spot. But in the past, we've had our bus, which that's another thing I didn't mention before. But we converted, I should say, a couple core members um, converted a bus that's painted green.
Okay.
But we can get 6 mountain sleds in there, and we've taken it out to Colorado 3 trips. But that has been at the swap section, and It's multi-purposed.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely it's a competition in itself just to see what people show up in, right? Whether it be a vehicle, a trailer, the same thing with those motorized wagons and stuff like that. That alone just becomes this like showcase competition that's going on, right? And then
100%.
moving away from the swap meet, then there's the new stuff, right? Like you think about it, and I'll give you a couple of things, and I'll have you go deeper. Is you've got the major OEMs, right? You got Polaris, Arctic Cat, Skidoo is there, Yamaha. Have we all heard the news about Yamaha now? I don't know. I think this season they still have got sleds in the marketplace, but I think by next year,
I think 25 is officially their last
yeah.
season.
So they're exiting the snowmobile world. So that'll be interesting to see. I'm assuming they'll still be there, but maybe not. We'll see. I would hope they're there still. But then every like aftermarket company you can dream of in the snowmobile world, if they're at any event in the entire year, it's heydays, right? It's like the heydays event. And so what are some of your favorite, like top 3 or 4 different like aftermarket vendors that you are your go-to places that you always try to get to?
I would have to say everybody's got to go visit Tom. Um, I'll butcher his last name. Kabuz.
Okay.
Help me out.
I know the name, but I don't know how to say it either, so I'll let you say it. So.
His products.
Is that TKI or which one is that?
Yeah, TKI.
TKI, yeah. Yep.
Jen and Tom are amazing people. They have an amazing business. It's always great to see what he's coming out with next, machine-wise. So that's one of our first stops. Backwoods BMP. I always go visit Ryan.
Gotcha.
I swear by the products that they have.
Yep.
Front and rear bumpers are the best that I've ever used.
Rory, do you hit a lot of things when you go snowmobiling? Is that your thing? Do you hit a lot of things? Is that why you need a BMP bumper?
I have not. But
I mean, the name Stump Hunters to me implies that you all are probably hitting some trees or stumps once in a while.
That is a very correct assumption. Yes, I have, and I'm glad I have an aftermarket bumper. So there's a little plug for them.
Okay.
Just because of the stump hunters thing, when you're back in the back country, there's usually little thickets you got to run through, especially in the UP.
Yep.
Things are a little tighter running.
Gotcha.
Between trees. This sled I have not, but my past sled, yes. I had to change the whole C module.
Oh, no bueno. So, one company that I'm excited to see there for the first time ever in official company capacity is Marlon. So Marlon has had dealers and distributors there in the past, but I found out this year that Marlon is going to be there in person. And so the Avalanche Alliance sweepstakes, that's our first place prize behind the big grand prize, which is the snowmobile. But the Marlon deck is a $6,200 item that we're going to be giving away in that Avalanche Alliance sweepstakes. Again, the link is in the chat here or in the show notes that you guys will see on this broadcast. And they're going to be there in person for the first time, coming down from British Columbia, which is where their corporate office is at. So I'm excited to see them there.
Awesome. So. I did not know that, so I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yep.
Another one I'm excited to see is CKX, and that's another Canadian company.
Okay.
This is their first year at Heydays also. And they have some amazing helmet products, plus they have a lot of other snowmobile products between suits and what have you. And I tried their helmet 2 years ago, and because of trade laws and what have you, they've just now got everything this past year set so they can sell within the United States.
Gotcha.
So I think that's another reason why they're going to be at Heydays, but
gotcha.
They got a great product.
Yeah. Well, and the big OEMs like, Arctic Cat, Polaris, Skidoo, Yamaha in the past and stuff too is, they usually make Heydays kind of one of their big events to announce things like the new race sled platforms for the year. Last year, Arctic Cat announced their new Catalyst body, right? The 600 Catalyst and stuff. And this year, we've seen them all over social media too, making a big deal about some other big announcement that Cat has. Rumor has it they're going to have a bigger engine or a different engine than the 600 that they're announcing for next season. But that's going to be unveiled there as well. And so Aerie will actually be at the CAT booth doing an Avalanche Alliance kind of a presentation, or an Aerie presentation for avalanche awareness. So I'll be hanging out there, as well as the climb booth, where we'll have the sled, the sled that you guys saw at the beginning of the broadcast here. I'm going to show it one more time just in case anybody didn't catch it at the beginning of the broadcast, but Rory right now, above you and I, nobody can see us. They're looking at this brand new Polaris 850 turbo boost with all kinds of goodies on it. It's got the Ice Age kit on it, for the front spindles, the rear suspension. Man, this thing's just a beauty. And if you look close with the magnifying glass, you'll see LiveLARGE Universe is one of the sponsors on there as well too. So
I'm pretty excited to see it in person.
Yeah, it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful machine. So.
Yep.
We're going to move into another category here, but before we do, one or two other like companies that you want to give a shout out to that you're looking forward to seeing at Heydays. Otherwise, we'll jump into some of the other things like freestyle and demos and all that kind of stuff next.
No, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, there's so much that's there. If you've never been to Heydays, it's going to be overwhelming. So
pro riders, who's
yes.
the pro riders that you go out of your way to go see every year? Besides John Farian, of course. Joking, of course.
Well, I'm hoping one of the Moore brothers will be coming back.
Nice.
He's one has since passed on, as we all know, but that was always a treat to see those two in that arena.
Yeah. Well, because they actually do the freestyle. That was one of the events I was going to talk about next too, is the freestyle event. But in my mind, I'm thinking like, the pro riders like the Dan Adams, the Matt Enns, the Chris Brants, the Caleb Kosterkis, those guys. Do you have anybody that's on your favorite list that you always go to the autograph session? Maybe it's Levi LaValle. I know he's one of my favorites. I always go out of my way to go see him.
That's where I was going to jump into next was Levi. I mean, of course,
he's a class act, isn't he? Yeah, just amazing class act.
He's a class act. He's down to earth. He knows how to be a clown, but an adult and a human being, all in the same time.
Yep.
And he heard my nickname was the Old Goat, and he said, "Oh my God!" And hey, just good people.
Yeah.
And Dan Adams, Matt Entz,
yep.
They're so down to earth. And when they do the autograph signing, whether you are a fan or not, it's just a great time to go meet them all.
Yep.
And it's nice to go to each one of the booths, and whether it be Climb or Polaris, when they do the signings, and meet the new riders. That's another thing that's exciting to see what the up and coming is going to be, whether it be backcountry riders or Ice Oval or whatever it may be.
Nope, absolutely. And then you mentioned the Moore brothers or whatever too, but like the freestyle event, right? So every year, like throughout the weekend, they have freestyle shows that they do, like motocross, snowmobiles, doing tricks, backflips, all those. I try to, if I'm in the area and I hear them announce it, I try to go over and watch at least for a few minutes. But what I've discovered is that for me personally, 2 days or even 2.5 days, because I get there on Friday afternoon when I fly in on Friday morning, because I'm one of the volunteers. I can get in on site early, and so Friday afternoon, all day Saturday, and most of the day Sunday, like it's not enough time to even see 25% of the event. Honestly, like every year, I barely scratch the surface on the swap meet because I'm usually flying in lately, and so I don't have the ability to bring anything home that's anything big or bulky. And so for me, it's about seeing my friends, watching some of the freestyle events, seeing all the new OEMs, connecting with all the partners for things like Avalanche Alliance or any of the other partners that I have on the show above me here, on the screen above us here. It's a big networking event, and I'm always looking too for new guests. And I'll do that shout out again one more time, is like, if anybody's watching now, or if you're at Heydays and you think you might have a story that's worth sharing on our show here, absolutely booking shows for the rest of this season now too. And so hit me up, whether it be through a Facebook Messenger message in the comments here, let me know and I'll reach out to you, or just hit me up at Heydays and look me up there, and I'll be monitoring like Facebook Messenger while I'm at Heydays too. So if you follow me on Facebook and you want to do a quick shout out, just let me know and I'll meet you up somewhere. And this year I'm going to try to let people know kind of where I'm at as I'm going around the event. I'll say, hey, I'm heading over to the Climb booth for a little while to go over to the Avalanche Alliance sled and be over there for this hour to this hour. and some of those things. The Arctic Cat booth where the area is going to be there, I'll be there for that as well. And
That's
this
a
year,
great idea because a couple of years ago I was trying to chase you down and we kept missing each other until the very end of the show.
yeah, no, that happens. And so this year, actually, a special little nugget for everybody is I'm going to be wearing a bright red shirt that'll say Avalanche Alliance on it. Like I'm going to have Saturday and Sunday, I'll have it on for both days. So Avalanche Alliance, and on the back code, Rory, is a giant like QR code, one of those barcodes you can scan with your phone. And
Yep.
it's going to be the entry to the Avalanche Alliance sweepstakes. You can literally walk up, shake my hand, I'll turn around, you can scan the barcode on my back. I'm like a giant barcode basically, and people then with the barcode that's going to be on my back at Heydays is going to be the same barcode that's in this show note, and it's only good through Sunday the 10th, the end of Heydays. So Sunday the 10th is the last day of Heydays, and if you scan the barcode on my back at the event, or if you do it in the show notes here, you can get an extra 40% more bonus tickets when you go to sign up for the entries for the sweepstakes. So it'll be fun.
There you go, people. Your little tidbit, and sign up, please.
Yep. No. Awesome. So what else you got at Heydays? So we talked about the pro riders. We talked about the OEMs, the freestyle events. Do you ever go to the demo events? Like, do you go like demo ride any of the ATVs or any of the things that they have over there?
I did the demo for the ATVs. That's a lot of fun. You get to
Yep.
see what the new items that are out there. 2 years ago, they had a Jeep demo. I did that. And yeah, it's really neat to see not just snowmobiles, but side-by-sides,
Power sports.
four-wheelers.
It's really turned
that
into an
are-
overall power. I mean, it's definitely 80-90% of it's still snowmobiling. Obviously, almost all
Yes.
of it is there. But there's a lot of other power sports things that are there. You're going to see side-by-sides there. You're going to see, snow bikes that'll be there. And, these Jeeps, there was like these like new, I don't know, replica Jeeps, I guess you could call them. They were doing demos and stuff of. All those kind of things. And then what about the food? Like, do you ever partake in all of the amazing food, like the
There is
cheese
what
curds
I
and all that
love,
crap?
on the website, they have an actual food menu map. Whereas in the past, it was, okay, let's see if mom and pop's taco stand is there.
Yeah.
At least now you have more of an educated guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always try and see a new booth or a new stand to try some of the different foods.
I always have to go hunt down the cheese curds. Like that's a good every time it's like the state fair, Minnesota, or probably the Wisconsin state fairs, right? Like you got to get the cheese curds. Like you just can't not have
I'm
cheese
kind
curds.
of biased. In fact, I'm bringing a surprise care package for the guys over at All American Heroes, and that was one of the requests was cheese curds.
Well, I'll make sure I'm there because I'm going to probably steal some of those cheese curds while I'm there. So.
Right on.
Awesome. So, is there anything about Heydays we're forgetting about? I'm trying to think. I think we've covered a lot of it, but is there some other secret little insider tip that you have for Heydays for this year?
One of the things we didn't mention is is the grass drakes. I always save my visit to the stands and watch the grass drakes until Sunday afternoon because then I can.
I got to stop you for a second because this is so typical of me. The entire event is called Heydays Grass Drags, and I swear every year I don't watch more than 2 minutes worth of the grass drags. It's the last thing. It's the last thing that I actually go watch too, and it's usually because I finally have gotten thirsty enough. I walk over to the beer tent on Sunday afternoon for a beer, and it just happens to be right next to the grass drags, and I'm like, "Well, look, they're racing snow. Who would have thought? Who would have thought, Rory, that they're racing snowmobiles at the Heydays Grass Drags? Like, I mean, who would have made up something like that? Jeez."
It's a concept. But that's one of the things.
The world's fastest snowmobiles will be on site racing their tushies off down that what is it, a 500 foot or 600 foot? What is it? Do you remember how long it is now?
I think it's 600 feet.
Yeah, it's not a quarter. Like once upon a time, it was probably a quarter mile or an eighth mile back in the day. But these buggers are now hitting like 150 to I don't know how fast, over 150, probably almost 180 miles an hour in some of them. 500 horsepower snowmobiles, 4 strokes, turbocharged, 2 strokes, you name it, and it's just unreal to watch those things just go down the track.
Yes, it is. My biggest thing is the networking. That's my
The
last
best part.
bit
Yep.
for Hades is meeting new people,
Yeah.
introducing myself, learning. Okay, this person is a guide in Wyoming,
Yep.
or this person has a cabin up in Maine.
Yeah.
And it's everybody I've met and puts out their hand and an invitation.
Yeah.
And that's what snowmobiling is all about. Back to the family thing
Yeah, I agree.
and giving you that invitation.
Well, here's a
Um,
here's a fun fact for you when we talk about networking, right? So the world is just this place that the world just comes together sometimes. Like sometimes this is my life, this is other people's lives. In heydays, it all just comes together, right? Guess what's
yep.
happening? So Friday when I fly in, I'm picking up my buddy Eric Nelson, who's here. He's already going to be flying in right ahead of me, so I'll pick him up there. And Eric maybe doesn't even know this yet, so it'll be a surprise to him. But we're going to be picking up two more people at the airport. Have you heard who that is yet?
Yes, I have. But
Who are they?
I'm not going to steal your
Oh
thunder.
no, no, it's all good. Tell me, because that's how amazing Heydays is the word is already out.
Yes.
Like
Okay.
like
I will
the
say,
great minds are coming together at Heydays, and I'm going to be chauffeuring two very important VIP guests from the airport up to Heydays. Tell us who it is.
all right, my great friend Luke Wildman Dobbs and
Woo!
Jason McCleary, our little fire starter guy.
The
So
pyromaniac,
the
Jason McCleary,
pyromaniac.
fly
So
high fire
when I heard that
starters.
news, I was so excited just in itself because Luke is family.
Oh yeah.
Luke has been our guide as a group
I think
stunt
he's
hunters.
watching too. By the way, I've seen him in the chat here earlier, so I think he's out watching too.
Nice.
So Luke and or Jason, if you're watching tonight, give us a quick shout out. Looking forward to bumping into you. I'm hoping I don't forget to pick you up at the airport. If not, just give me a call. I'll circle back. I'll come back and get you.
Yeah, and that's right back to the family feeling of this whole community.
Yeah,
You give a shout out, hey, I don't have a car, but
yeah,
I'm coming in this area. You get 10 people that raise their hand and say, I'll come get you.
yeah,
You know, that's what's you can't find that in any other sport,
yep,
any other walk of life where people drop what they're doing
yep.
and come help you out.
Nope, absolutely, absolutely. Well, Rory, I think we've covered pretty much all the things we wanted to cover. But is there anything I'm forgetting about that you wanted to make sure we squeezed in before we wrap this up tonight?
I don't think so. Um, just a couple small plugs.
Sure, sure.
One
Go for it.
was, I think I mentioned it right at earlier when we were talking about clubs. Once again, if you're watching, you're not a member of a club, please join a club. This is what our snowmobile community is all about, and without the clubs, we wouldn't have that community. Um, Secondly, as you can see, I'm with and helping youth events.
Yeah,
Help get if you see a young member who's got a family but needs a little help or an event, get in there and help out. What we're doing is growing our sport
yeah.
because
Well,
that's our future.
and something people, I think overlook the opportunity of is in regards to youth snowmobiling, is, and I'm going to say it, but I'm going to pause for a second just to make sure that the impact is real here. Is to realize that it's as simple as this, Rory, is as an individual, whether it be you or me or whoever, create an opportunity that allows a youth rider to come ride with you, right? Because here's what I find in this sport, and frankly, any sport that's out there. It doesn't matter if you're into dirt biking, into car riding, or jeeping, or off-roading, snowmobiling. It's all the same. Where sometimes we get so wound up in our own focus on, oh man, I'm gonna go hit the epic pow day. Oh man, I'm gonna go to this epic terrain, or I'm gonna go into this big steep hill climb, or this big chute, or I'm gonna go ride the trees today and just tear it up because that's what I love to do. Because frankly, it's all about me, right? Like that's I think
Yep.
so many of us, including me, sometimes gets into this mindset of like, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? And I think you'll find it extremely fulfilling, and I can vouch for this part of it for sure. It's extremely fulfilling to be able to create an opportunity for a basic beginner level ride that would allow a youth rider to come in and be part of your ride, right? Just create that opportunity. It's sometimes something we don't think about is just, hey, let's promote through the club or through, even your riding group let's make sure this is family weekend or family day where people know that they can bring their kids and not fear of racing down the trail at 80 miles an hour through the UP of Michigan. Let's keep this at a family friendly pace. Let's make sure that we're not just going to the local bar for drinks and a burger in the afternoon. Let's go somewhere that's family friendly. Whatever it is, let's make sure that we're creating that opportunity, and that little thing will make a massive difference. Because, well, man, when you hear the thank yous and the smiles and the pictures at the end of the day and the shout outs that you get from those kind of things, there's literally nothing more fulfilling than having a young person saying thank you for this opportunity, and then they get excited about the sport, and then you see them being an up and comer as well. So,
with the events that I've worked, what you just mentioned, that makes every event 100% worth doing.
Yep. Nope,
and
absolutely.
You're planting a seed for that individual to carry on and learn more skills and carry on with what they've
Yep.
experienced in that one day, what they did.
Yep. Awesome.
So one little caveat to add to that, though, is in past, the manufacturers, Skidoo, Polaris, they actually sponsored a thing called Introduce Snowmobiling to a Friend.
Bring a friend snowmobiling. Yep. Bring a friend
snowmobiling.
Yep.
That's something else for those that are listening. If you know somebody, bring a friend snowmobiling, because let somebody else experience what we love.
Yep.
And that'll multiply also.
Yep. Nope. 100%. So, well, Rory and I will both be at Heydays this coming weekend, actually. What is today? Is it the 2nd today, or is it the 3rd? It's Sunday the 3rd today.
The 3rd.
And so a week from today, minus a day. So next weekend, again, I'm flying in on the 8th. I'll be there the 9th and 10th, Saturday and Sunday at Heydays. So if anybody's there, just send me a message on Messenger, bump into me. Again, I'll be wearing a bright red shirt with white lettering on it for Avalanche Alliance with a big barcode on the back. Come say hi, scan the barcode, get your Avalanche Alliance tickets for 40% more entries while you're at Heydays through that Sunday. But yeah, mostly we just want to see people, come say hi. And whether you do it through this video, through Messenger, and through the chat here, at Heydays, hit me up. I'm looking for more guests for this coming season. And typically we do the shows on Sunday nights, 7 p.m. Pacific time. Next weekend during Heydays, obviously I'm going to be in the airplane. I won't be able to do a show next week, but that gives us a full week here to be able to book some shows for the following weeks after that, after Heydays. And so hit me up, and would love to get you guys booked on another show. So final words, Rory?
Final words, just like John said, I'll be at Heydays. I'll be wearing some Stump Punter gear. Look me up, and I got sled tunes. I'd love to give you one of my sled tunes and talk snowmobiling and anything I can help with promoting the sport, promoting the Avalanche Alliance, or anything that we're doing good. Come see me. I'd love to talk.
Awesome. And let's wrap up this show like I've wrapped up all my shows, and tell everybody, God bless you, and live large. Don't forget to live large, everybody.
Live large.
Have a great night. Rory, you can hang on for a second.